crab rave. It's the crab rave.
That's a real crab, dude. That's not the 3D animated one.
Nope, that's crab rave. There is no way in hell that is a real crab.
That's not crab rave.
A crab rave based on real life. You know, you've seen like those HDized videos of World War II footage? Yeah, no, they just did that with crab rave.
Oh my god. That's not what it... Okay, you know what? We have an actual video to do, Steve.
Nope, it's just about crabs. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right. Today's video is just about crabs. What kind of crabs do you like? What kind of crabs like you? Which ones are the best? Which ones are the worst? Who knows?
Typically the legs.
Classic Science Insanity video talking about crabs. Carcinization.
Branch it out.
Everything will eventually evolve or de-evolve into crabs. Which is why I picked the battle mech I did. It's crab time. Bust out your Red Lobster pina colada dipping sauce or whatever the mystery dip is. Grab your crab shell breaker and go Google what carcinization is. Because today we're talking about the crab. Not the king crab. That's the best assault mech in the setting. We're talking about the regular crab. The maybe best medium mech in the setting as well. Are you ready to go, Steve?
Yep.
Oh my god, Steve, what the hell is that?
I just typed in crab in the GIF bar and it popped up. It's literally the first image.
Oh my god. Well, you know what? That derailed me enough where that's going in the video. Congratulations, Steve. That's gonna be like one of the first thing people see. They click on the video expecting sci-fi mechs and they're just greeted by Ye-Claw. Where are you getting this shit, Steve? Where are you getting this?
Sir, just go to the GIF bar on Discord, and I've just typed in crab, and I'm scrolling down.
Why are there so many? Why are there so many?
I will be continuing to post these throughout the video.
Okay, that's great. The people who are looking at this in image discussion are going to be like, what the actual fuck is going on?
Now, whether these get included in the actual video or not, I mean, that's fully up to you.
It might happen, who knows. But trying somewhat to get back on track before I rip my hair out, the crab, one of the best medium mechs that has ever been designed. Because crab, everybody loves the crab. Except irrationally me. I'm actually mildly allergic to shellfish. I will break out into hives and my throat itches real bad if I ever eat stuff like crabs or lobsters or shrimp or whatever. But on to what we're actually talking about. The mech, what it is, how it was developed, what it can do, and more. With the highlight, at least in my opinion, being how the crab was on the cusp of becoming the mech of the Star League. If it weren't for Fat Genghis Khan ruining everything in his aborted power grab, it would have probably invalidated most of the other mechs in its weight bracket. Which is something most Battletech fans probably find really surprising, because at first glance it is, like the animal, distinctly mediocre. But before we get into that, introductions, generic greetings, and welcome to Science Insanity, a channel dedicated to bringing crabs, apparently, in all of their glory to you, the viewer. I'm Sai, my Shanghaied sidekick and comedic relief is Steve. Introduce yourself, content minion.
Hello, I am Steve.
Perfect. And since it's relatively short but dense, let's start off with its history. First, rolling off the production line in 2719, the crab was in for a very successful but very short career. And I will rip the band-aid off right now and say the poor thing barely managed to survive 40 years before everything went to shit. As in the mid-2760s, Fat Genghis launched his coup of the Star League and started the Star League Civil War. Or the Ameris coup, I don't know, pick whatever name you like. And having only made about 1,000 of them, there wasn't much of a chance of them playing a big role in the coming conflict. Though, surprisingly, they did manage to do a great job of not dying, because like crabs in real life, it seems like everything was against them, but they just refused to die. And this is because the crab was an extremely simple yet effective mech in design. We don't have any jump jets, we're not running any turbochargers or mask, we don't even have anything in there like ammo blowout panels from the case system, because there's no ammo to blow up. No, the crab only has an XL engine and ferrofibrous armor, and only used those to save weight so that it could slap on even more armor and even more weapons.
What did it carry, a knife?
No, I wish it did. I wish it did. There's gonna be a rant that comes later specifically about melee, because I wish, Steve, I wish with all my heart that the Crabo could stab-o, but it cannot. It's not allowed to melee. The lore says no, which is disgusting and horrific, and I hate it.
I think we should kill the entire lore. It's no longer a setting.
Well, there is Battletech Gothic. Let's just burn it all down and start again. This is a joke. This is a joke. I'm not serious. I'm well aware that Battletech Gothic is an absolute shit show from minute one. It's fine. Later versions could be easily refit though with more primitive tech if need be and not cause any issues. When it was first introduced, it instantly became a favorite of everyone that had to deal with it. The thing was really easy to maintain to a comical degree, like the same damage suffered to any part of the mech took on average half as much time to repair as anything else in its contemporary weight bracket. Its parts were extremely simple and easy to fabricate or find replacements for, even if they weren't expressly made for it. Like, you can basically just go to a Home Depot and buy stuff off the shelf, kludge it together, and there you go, you've repaired it. Mech warriors also love the thing since it handled like a dream. You know what, this is going to be a weird reference. Have you ever driven a car that does not have any kind of power assist steering or anything like that?
I've in fact never driven a car.
Damn, still being driven around by your mom at the age of however the fuck old you are.
Oh, shit. Yes, I have.
Okay, well, imagine that's basically the difference with how the Crab handled compared to most other contemporary battle mechs at the time. It was dramatically easier, dramatically simpler, and took way less effort than most other mechs for the pilot to use it, meaning that during long deployments or intensive stuff, it was a lot less stressful on the guy that had to operate the machine. And with its new and extremely powerful sensor suite being an almost prototype, it also let its pilots see more of the battlefield than pretty much any other mech to date. Even so, without the aid of satellites, recon, or info sharing, the Crab could detect enemy forces and even predict their movements, letting a mech warrior constantly outmaneuver their enemies. Literal wall hacks. And the thing was fast and tough with a low profile that made it hard to hit, so the advantages just keep on coming. Because of its huge engine, the thing could absolutely book it down the road. Like, this thing was as fast as mechs that were half of its size, almost sprinting at the same speed as like a locust in ideal conditions. It also had more armor than a Centurion and boasted a short and narrow torso that made it really easy to spread damage out instead of focusing it. In a lot of ways, the Crab was like the original Bushwhacker, but better in every conceivable way. It's like Daniel, the cooler Daniel, except it's the Bushwhacker and the cooler Bushwhacker, the Crab. Hell, even military procurement loved this thing, since despite having either equal or superior performance to all of its competitors, it wasn't even that expensive. It was only 4 million C-bills, distinctly average, only about like $500,000 to $400,000 more expensive than something like an Enforcer or a Centurion, which were other mechs in the same weight bracket. So for every 10 of those other mechs, you get 9 Crabs, which is really good considering how genuinely great the thing was. Although in other contexts, having Crabs, woe be upon you, you now have Crabs.
Whoa. Let's keep it PG here.
It's fine. There was even talk about the Crab that it should be adopted as the new official medium mech of the Star League. And to anyone who doesn't know what that means, this means nothing to you, Steve, but to all the lore nerds that are watching this, essentially, the Star League had a few mechs that it selected to bulk out the majority of all of its forces in a given weight class. You know, the Warhammer was like the primo heavy mech for the SLDF, and they vomited that thing out in huge numbers. The Battlemaster was also produced in ginormous batches, and basically every single regiment in the Star League had dozens of them. The Crab becoming the official medium mech of the Star League meant new factories, huge production orders, and every mech force in the Inner Sphere being equipped with the thing en masse. It would have become the face of the Star League forces, since mediums made up about, like half of all mechs in use. Quite literally Crab people coming to enforce their dominance upon you. Unfortunately, good old Chubster Genghis ruined that like he ruined everything else in life he came into contact with, but what can you do? At least he died horribly. And I hope he has to listen to bagpipes from the Black Watch for the rest of eternity in hell.
Someone say bagpipes?
No, stop.
Where have they moved my soundboard? Oh, shit, it would help if I had
yes! The Discord update finally killed the meme! He can't do it any- Oh. Oh, man. I thought I was free for a second there. I was so happy, and you just ripped it all away from me right at the last moment.
I'm glad I could do such things to you.
Also, this is some prime lore fodder cheese. I can't figure out anywhere else in the video to actually put this, so we'll just talk about it here. And apparently, directly quoting, the various SLDF personnel who worked on the Crab began using it to refer to easy duty or simple tasks because of the painlessness of operating it, coming to call them crab walks. Get it? Like cakewalk, but with crabs?
Yeah, that's a completely different meaning, though.
Yeah, I'm aware of what a crab walk is, but I'm
Okay.
just saying, like, this is
Okay.
some prime cheese where you're like, man, the writers are just awful. This is just painful, and I want to bring that to all the people watching. I hope that you suffer. Also, to all the viewers, I now want you to imagine a bunch of mech techs crab walking around the mech bay like lunatics, because for the first time in decades, they actually finished all their work ahead of time, and their mind simply fractured under the idea that they do not have endless hours of mechanical tinkering to do. But going back a bit, when the Star League Civil War happened, the few production lines for the crab were destroyed, and while it fared way better than most mechs over the course of the following succession wars, it was a slowly dying chassis that was headed for extinction. The very first things that started to go were the advanced electronics, as the extremely powerful sensor suite, battle computer, and predictive algorithm in one that it had, the R&D 650, was extremely fragile. Sometimes it would just break even when the mech was powered down and in storage, which I'm sure wasn't frustrating at all. Like, everyone has experienced that. For some reason, technology that worked perfectly fine yesterday just stops working today, and you have no idea why.
Discord.
Kind of like Discord, kind of like PayPal, kind of like Patreon. Just everything. Everything just stopped working. Whatever. It's not important. While it essentially let the crab cheat and use real-life wall hacks, in a matter of months, the spare parts, supplies, and experts that the Star League had to maintain these systems dried up. And while it trucked on for a few decades more, once the last few technicians that actually understood the damn thing died off, or were probably murdered by Comstar, they were replaced with drastically simpler and weaker versions, reducing its capabilities quite a bit. Next to go was the XL engine and Ferro armor, without which the crab had to be downgraded to a smaller power plant and fewer heat sinks. But despite that, the crab's incredible simplicity and off-the-shelf style of construction meant that they were infinitely repairable. Even if the thing was basically scrap metal, given enough time, it could be repaired back to full operation. Still, hundreds of years takes its toll on everything, and by the time of the clans, there were less than 100 of them left kicking around the inner sphere, most of them under Comstar ownership, though hilariously, apparently, the clans agree that the crab was a goddamn masterpiece because even up to the invasion of the inner sphere itself, the clans continued to produce and use the crab in small numbers, which sounds insane, I know, but to soften the blow a bit, they never actually used it for serious combat or operations. The crab was used and built in small-ish numbers by rear-line Salama units with spare parts and second-rate production lines. While there's not much explanation here, it's probably safe to assume that the reason the crab was used by the clans at all is because those rear-line and disgraced mech warriors probably found it really easy and simple to maintain the damn thing, so the garbage that Salama units usually got could be used to keep crabs running basically forever. And unfortunately, that's about it. The crab did see a resurgence in the 3060s as Kasara Weaponries rebuilt a production line for them, but from this point on in the timeline, we don't really know much about what they did. Maybe there's a lot of crabs running around, maybe only a few hundred new production models, maybe the crab became untouchable since the Word of Blake loved the thing and used a few custom variants quite a bit. And people tend to despise Word of Blake mechs on principle, so maybe it just never got used again, but whatever. With the history done, let's move on to the stats and stuff and talk about the guns, the modifications, the capabilities, the pinchers. So, the crab, like we've talked about before, is surprisingly beefy compared to how it looks. In each of its pinchers, the crab has a large laser, oftentimes upgraded to an extended range variant. These were its primary anti-mech and vehicle weapons, which is another big thing as well. This is super rare for medium mechs. Most of the time, mediums rely on like some big ammo-fed weapon, like an autocannon or missile bank for their main punching power, then back it up with lasers and stuff. And that's because pure laser vomit is absurdly hot for the tonnage. Like, Taste the Rainbow is great, and it's really funny to melt your enemies into slag, but 2 larges is also 20% of the crab's 50-ton weight. It's 10 tons just for those 2 lasers. But no, the crab is, once again, just evolved different. Serving as secondary weapons, it had 1 medium laser and 1 small laser mounted in the head and torso respectively, which is really funny to think about, because the pilot is basically straddling a laser, and I imagine every time he fires it, the poor guy just broils his pearls, I guess. Making sure the mech stays cool, however, are 16 heat sinks, enough that the crab can essentially just fire on cooldown forever. Protecting the thing was 9 tons of ferrofibrous armor originally, just shy of...
I hate how I come up to these at the exact right times.
Oh, you have mecha crabs? Oh, come on. How did...
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's mecha crabs. That's the robot version of him.
Anyway.
Oh my god, Steve.
You be hot up there.
Come on, man.
Sir, I'm on the laptop, okay?
Like I was attempting to say, protecting the thing was 9 tons of ferro armor, just shy of the max a mech of its weight class can even carry. Even better is because it has such a narrow needle nose profile, it's incredibly easy for it to pitch a small amount side to side and splash damage all across its components. It also has the same kind of extra protection the king crab does. Each of its arms has a gun shield that stops its lasers from taking damage during combat and act as like bonus a blade of armor. And then they open up like crab pinchers. Though just like the king crab, apparently, this is where the rant happens from earlier, nobody thought, big pincher should pinch things. No, because despite being just literally perfect for melee and being the funniest thing ever, the crab cannot in fact stab. There's no melee. It straight up says that if it tries, there's a really good chance that it'll just break its arm in the attempt. It's like, how does that even happen? Why would you do that? How would you do that? Why? It would have been so perfect if you could run up and like pinch something off an enemy mech, and it could be tactically useful as well. Unlike most mechs where you're like, it's just a big blunt force, you just throw in hands, the crab could actually walk up and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna open my missile bay or whatever in order to fire at you. The crab can just saunter up and just pinch the launch door closed and just like, shh, it's okay. No, you're not going to be doing that. But no, there's no opportunity for memes or fun here. Fun is not allowed with the crab. The really impressive stuff, though, was the mobility and electronic equipment, because the designers of the crab figured, you know what? It's going turbo, maximum overdrive. That massive XL engine was a 250 rating monster, unnecessarily larger than it had any right to be. Most mediums use around a 200, while heavies are around 250 to 280. This let the crab scuttle like you have never seen before, sprinting at nearly 100 kilometers per hour on flat ground.
I had one for that one too.
Oh, you had one for scuttling real fast? Really?
I do, actually.
Oh my god, you do. Okay, wow, little guy is just gone. Good for him, I guess.
Told you I had one.
My god, you really do have a crab gift for everything. It's, you know, this might be the most I think you've ever contributed to a video, Steve.
And it's not with talking either.
Yeah, no, it's just throwing memes. Alright then.
I found my true calling.
Back on track a little though. The crab's ridiculous speed meant that it was incredibly good at outflanking enemies and engaging in guerrilla warfare, and it was also really good at countering enemies that tried to do the same thing, since if light mechs or faster mediums tried to get around the flanks or something, a crab could respond fast enough and with enough armor and firepower to basically counter everything. Like, let's say it runs into a Jenner or something, you know, relatively fast light mech that's got a lot of firepower. Well, the crab has more than enough armor and firepower of its own to just flat out win that fight and shut them down before they can do anything. And that brings us to about the end of all the relative lore for the mech. It's not a particularly fleshed out or particularly amazing thing. Like, it exists, it's got some good details for it, but it's not ridiculously fleshed out like some of the other stuff. However, there are a few variants of it that I want to go over because I find them both incredibly funny, but also it gives me a chance to just style over other people that I don't like their favorite mechs for. That was weird phrasing.
Okay.
That was very weird phrasing. Let me rephrase that. It allows me to laugh at people who like mechs that I don't. There we go. That's better. So to start generally basic, the Crab 20 is the downgrade of the original 27. This is the one that they basically went, all right, all our expensive shit broke. We got to put in a bunch of basic off-the-shelf stuff now. They basically just downgraded the armor, downgraded the engine, and replaced the fancy electronics with off-the-shelf components. This is the one that you find in basically all video games that's not like a Royal variant or something. It's kinda it's not the best, it's not bad. Its weapon hardpoints does leave a little bit to be desired though. The funny stuff generally starts to come in when you see the later fancier variants that are just absolutely ridiculous. For example, the Crab 45 and this one. This one is something that I just can't help but laugh at because, hey, people that are friends of the awesome, that wonderful assault mech that absolutely is not what its name suggests. Guess what? The Crab 45 is just an awesome, but better because it's stupidly fast with a 300 rating XL engine, and instead of the normal laser armament, it has 3 light PPCs and an ER large laser that it manages to fire basically on cooldown with 15 double heat sinks, the equivalent of 30 regulars. The Crab 45 also has a C3 improved computer, basically meaning it's got the C3 command and control system for it, so it's got vastly improved targeting and control systems. This is a Word of Blake one though, so everyone hates it and it was basically wiped out of existence, but this version of the Crab is basically just an assault mech but better in every way because the awesome is a giant pile of garbage. There is what I would consider to be the funniest Crab, which is the 54. This is actually just straight up the turbo one. I genuinely have no idea why they decided to do this or whose idea this was, but I mean, go off, I guess. They take out the large lasers and put plasma rifles in there instead, supported by an extended range medium and an extended range small. But that is not the funny part. No, they didn't just put an XL in this one, they put a double XL, an extra light engine. And this one was a 350 rating one.
That seems like a little much.
Yeah, the biggest engines that you generally put on mechs are 400s. This one is basically the very top end of what you're gonna find. And it runs at 110 kilometers an hour default, and it also has a supercharger, which lets it sprint at over 150 kilometers per hour. This thing is unbelievably fast. It's faster than most light mechs. This thing can outrun most light mechs in the setting, and it's got the firepower to melt them into ash while it does, with no real losses on armor and survivability, which is just insane to me. Like, the Crab genuinely seems like a meme mech the more I look at it, because it's like it starts out being kind of reasonable, just like a step above all the competitors, and it gets that way by using some new technology, like an XL engine, really advanced electronics, some good construction on it. But then you get the later variants of it, and you're just like, who designed this? What Solaris 7 ridiculousness is this that they managed to just staple onto this thing and get it to go turbo? And then we've got the last one I want to talk about. This is not the CRB, this is the BSC-20. Do you want to take a guess what this one stands for?
Big, I don't know.
Yeah, you got
something cannon.
You got the first one right.
Big. I don't know what the S would be.
What do you think?
What do you cannon?
It's Big Steel Claw. This one's a Frank. You know how a lot of crabs have like one really big pincher and then one small pincher?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
been pretty well represented in all these
gifts
today.
Yep, that's basically what this one is, because it's a Franken mech. They basically took a crab and then chopped up a poor urban mech and took one of the crab's arms off, or the laser part of it off, and then put the autocannon arm from an urban mech on. So the Big Steel Claw is running around with a giant gun in one arm, a whole bunch of flamethrowers on the other, and a bunch of medium lasers in the center torso. There's also the Florentine, which is a very apocryphal one, and this is basically just like a baby king crab, because it mounts two...
I found another one to go along with the crab flamethrower.
Crab flamethrower? Oh my god. Come on, man. How do you keep finding these? I just want you to know, every single one of these GIFs I have to convert to an MP4 in order to use it in my video editing software. And that's not a long process. But it still takes
it's just a little bit of time.
It's like 2 minutes, but I have to do that like 40 times. It's gonna be I hate your laugh when you're causing me suffering. It's so obvious that you're just like, oh, I'm a goblin, I'm a gremlin, I'm ruining someone else's time. Yeah, it's great. I hate you, Steve.
Hey, they were talking about how you were a masochist for continuing to record with me. I just gotta prove them right.
It's not that I'm a masochist, it's that I like money. money, like Mr. Krabs, and the
yes.
more, and you are good for engagement, because people are like, ha, the funny dumb guy is making the science man angry, making his life miserable.
This is what you get for staying up till 3 a.m. playing Eve.
Have you not watched a single one of our videos, Steve? Outros?
No.
Is that
no
outros, patron thanks, coffee vendors, war on sleep, ringing any bells? Alright, well, that's basically the end of the video. I don't have anything else to say on the crab. I think I'm all memed out at this point. I don't think I can handle any more of Steve's whatever the hell's going on in Picture Printer.
I actually have 3 more.
No, stop. No, it's done. We're done.
Nope.
We're done. It's time for the outro. It's time for the outro. So if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much. You're clearly the target audience, so why not leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Do all of that stuff that helps and supports the channel. It's greatly appreciated and really does help a smaller channel like this against the YouTube algorithm. For anyone that's feeling more generous, we do have a Patreon where you can head on over and throw a few bucks at our Staying Alive fund. If, however, you just want to hang out, we've got a community Discord that's got a whole bunch of other fellow turbo nerds that you can just hang around and, I don't know, talk about whatever. And occasionally on the weekends, I stream. So if you want to catch Sci live doing various video game shenanigans, all of that stuff is in the video description below. And to all the people already supporting the channel, the patrons, a huge thanks to the arms dealers providing all the tools and toys you saw in today's video for hands-on testing, as well as a thanks to the food merchants, making sure that my co-host Steve is well fed, and a special for today's episode, providing literal never-ending crates of crabs. I don't know what I'm going to do with all of these things, but I have them, so thank you. And to the coffee vendors, making sure that my war on sleep is ever successful. One day I will never sleep again, thanks to you guys as well. And with that, the video is basically over. I've got nothing else to say. Goodbye!